tuned into the hottest paranormal life show on YouTube, Into the Fringe, where we discuss lost civilizations, UFOs, cryptids, unsolved mysteries, megalithic structures, extraterrestrials, interdimensional portals, time skips, and more. Don't change that channel, because now you are leaving the mainstream and entering into the fringe.
Greetings, followers. It is I, Cardinal Sin, and welcome to a special episode of Into the Fringe with Walter Bosley. Walter Bosley is an investigator of historical occult mysteries, author of pulp fiction novels, and a screenwriter who has appeared on History Channel's Ancient Aliens. After 19 years in national security, Walter Bosley is a licensed private investigator in California, where he also runs his small press publishing company, Lost Continent Library, founded in 2002. In October, it will be the 20th anniversary of Lost Continent Library. Bosley has traveled much of the world, both on the job and off, including trips through Mexico and South America with David Hatcher Childress. Walter Bosley was born in San Diego, California, and attended SDSU, where he earned a BA in journalism. He was employed by the FBI and is an inactive reserve officer in the U.S. Air Force, for which he served as a special agent of the AFOSI while on active duty, and then worked as a counterterrorism operational consultant for 6 years following his military service. Bosley spends his time writing fiction and nonfiction, as well as investigating strange mysteries in between PI assignments. The latest news about Bosley's projects can be found at the following blogs: empireofthewheel.blogspot.com and lostcontinentlibrary.blogspot.com. Walter Bosley, welcome back to Into the Fringe.
Hey, it's good to be here, always.
Good to see you, my friend. And I wanted just to let folks know, before we do our pour-up, we are going to be giving away an autographed copy of Walter's book, Secret Missions 5, Veiled Destiny, as our giveaway tonight. Make sure to stick around until the end of the show. You must be present in the chat to be eligible to win. All right, now, you've got your Gorn, and you're probably wondering which one I have that might beat the Gorn. So, first of all, I wanted to show you that I got the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, nice.
I also got the Mummy.
Oh.
I got King Ghidorah, the three-headed monster.
Oh, cool.
But tonight, to match your Gorn, I have the Innsmouth Creep.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
And here he is.
Oh, great. Now, those are all geeky tikis, right?
Either geeky or mondo, yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool one. I really like the design of that one.
Yeah.
That's great.
Those are really cool. However, I also wanted to show you a couple things that I think you'll be very into. These are alien shot glasses.
Oh, cool. Face hugger?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I don't have any spirits to put in them. I just wanted to show them to you. So our pour-off will be the Innsmouth Creep versus the Gorn.
The Gorn.
So let's go ahead and pour up.
born? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm doing a cheapo seltzer water this evening.
Oh, that's all right.
Soleil raspberry lime.
I've just got some Goose Island IPA. I've actually been to Goose Island in Chicago.
Oh, really? Okay.
With my brother. It was really cool.
We've all heard of, I'm sure you've heard of Arrogant Bastard Ale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Stone Brewing Company, if I'm not mistaken.
That brewery, my friend Craig Googles used to live just down the road from that brewery, and he had a good friend who worked there. And on occasion, when I was visiting Craig, his friend would bring by direct from the brewery the big porcelain jugs that are like in-house kind of containers of whatever the fresh brew was that day, or the freshest samples, and he'd bring those over. And oh, you know what? Having fresh brew like that right off the line in a brewery is every bit as wonderful as when you go to an ice cream factory and have it right off the line. I went to the Ben & Jerry's in Vermont back in, get this, 1989. It was amazing. They would let you taste samples that whatever they were making that day. It was incredible. And the ale and the beers were just amazing from the Arrogant Bastard Brewery.
There's a local brewery, the first brewery to exist in Kansas since 1911, I believe, where monks were making sort of Belgian ale, and it's called the Free State Brewing Company.
Okay.
And going there and getting fresh beer right out of the tap has always made my back feel better. You know, I have chronic pain. I'm a chronic pain patient.
Hey, it works. You got to do what works.
Something about fresh beer is a muscle relaxant, you know.
You know what's funny about beer is, you know, when I was in college, you know, we drink beer and stuff, but I honestly didn't develop a taste where I really, really enjoyed beer until I got into my 40s. When I got into my 40s, there was something about beer. It's like, whoa, okay, this has changed. Now, I will also say that SeaWorld in San Diego, when they were owned by Anheuser-Busch, they had the Clydesdale Budweiser farm, so to speak, in the park. And you had to show your ID, but they had the taps there so you could get the free samples. And of course, all the dads are in there, right, getting their free samples. And I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of Budweiser product, but fresh off the tap like that, it was
makes a big difference.
It was different. It was whoa. It was almost as good as the European Budvar, which it's based upon.
You know, it's crazy. I don't know what it is, but actually, my real drink of the evening is a leftover daiquiri from the 4th of July.
There you go.
So
it works. It works. And one last comment about how different beer on tap is from what you get in the bottles. My first trip to Amsterdam in '99. You know, back then I was still in the biz, and it wasn't my thing to use substances, but I sure as heck, the first tavern I went into, I didn't, you know, smoke the weed or anything, but I got me a Heineken on tap there in Amsterdam.
Fresh.
Oh boy, as good as Heineken can be here,
it's even better.
Wow. It's ambrosia on
That's
tap.
Great. That's awesome. By the way, I did get your gift in the mail, the Kaleidoscope Grimoire cup, but holding it up, you can't really see very much. So it's the same design as on the T-shirt.
Yes, cool. Yes. I've got to adjust the brightness on that graphic because it prints too dark. It prints darker than it looked like it was going to. My Kaleidoscope shirt is in the laundry, alas. So you get the Hell's Bells shirt tonight.
Right on, man. I've got one too. So now that we've gone through our pleasantries and niceties,
yes,
I wanted to go ahead and let folks know that this is the book we're giving away, Veiled Destinies 5. Secret Missions 5, Veiled Destinies.
Mm-hmm.
The contextual companion volume to the Union, a unique perspective on history and those who lived it, which only Walter Bosley brings to the table. In this special volume of the Secret Mission series, the author offers the curious historical context to the deeds of Cabrillo, Burton, Burse, and Bonaparte, presented in the series, while presenting even more of the fascinating mysteries and questions about the little-known past. Now, I've heard tell, a little birdie told me, that if you haven't read any of the Secret Missions books, you can just read this one, because it kind of pulls everything together. Is that right?
That's sort of right. But
it could be a good starting place.
Yeah, I would characterize it that way better. It's an excellent starting point because there's still data in the other books that are just obviously not in that one. But right. I do want to say this: the person who won Shimmering Light, I apologize taking so long. It was a mix-up on which book I was giving away, but Shimmering Light is on the way, and you will get yours. Whoever wins today's book, that's the book I have on hand, so it'll get to you faster.
And what a book it is, ladies and gentlemen, or however you identify across the 28 known galaxies. This is a hell of a book. Thank and profusely footnoted and well researched as usual. Walter, you do such a great job. Also, thank you for being on the show tonight.
I love it. You know, I enjoy being here.
I know you had, was it cataract surgery yesterday?
Yes, I did. Cataract removal surgery in this eye.
Are you feeling okay to continue?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had no pain yesterday or last night. Yeah, and none today. And so my doctor, the surgeon, the ophthalmologist, when he came in and he looked, he's like, perfect, just right. You know, commenting on the job that he did. And I'm like, that's what I like to hear. So.
Oh, I thought he was commenting on the state of the cataract.
Oh, no. The job he did removing them. But yeah, it's great. I haven't.
And so they insert like a little piece of glass lens in there?
Well, they take out the lens you were born with, the natural lens in your eye, and they replace it. I think it's some type of synthetic, plasticky kind of material, silicone kind of thing, or whatever it is. I don't know.
I remember thinking it was crystal or something.
I don't know. It could be, but they put a new one in, and I'll tell you, I haven't seen. Now it's only the one eye. It's going to be about 8 weeks before I get the other one done. But I haven't seen this well without the aid of glasses or contact lenses, corrective lenses, in decades. So I can't wait to get the other one done. And
now, I was under the impression that you got the cataracts from fighting cancer, from the radiation and the chemo and that kind of thing.
It's a combination.
That probably didn't help.
Yeah. That what it is. It's a combination of, I'm in my late 50s, and my mom, one of my sisters, and it's in the family kind of thing with the cataracts in the eyes. I'm in my late 50s. I went through chemotherapy, so that made it a little worse. But it was actually my reaction to the second shot of the vax that really rendered me unable to read and unable to drive and see at nighttime. It took something that was going to happen and made it happen in spades. And that, by the way, I'm not being any kind of controversial guy there. Both my primary physician and my oncologist agree. Oh, you had a reaction to the vaccine, definitely. And they've just been, dealing with that, because also it pushed my bad hearing over the edge to where I needed to get the hearing aids, and it caused rheumatoid arthritis, which
I've had shot through my body since I was 17.
Oh my gosh, you've been dealing with this since 17, the RA?
Rheumatoid arthritis, yeah.
Yes,
it's because I'm a drummer, and back then I was a hardcore punk rock drummer, so it was a lot of thrash, But
I have sympathy for you, because my uncle, who you hear me talk about, my mentor, the guy that got me in my interesting career, which I'm sure will come up tonight, he suffered rheumatoid arthritis, I think, and it started for him at a younger age, definitely, than it started for me. And oh boy. But, my doctor is, she got me a particular medication that just really seems to work. So knock on wood, I'm going to press on through it all. But it's been an interesting last 12 months, but it's getting all under control.
Does that mean that you were not able to get the booster shot?
I'm not going to get the booster shot.
Yeah.
I already told my doctors, I said, if I had this reaction to the main vax, I will not get the booster, and they are not pushing me to get the booster.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah, because their concern is the fact that it's like, yeah, your circumstances, we're not going to push you. Yeah, I was glad that my doctors saw that it was like, oh yeah, obviously, because you tell people, oh, I had a reaction to the vax, and they think that you're being some type of nut.
Right,
it's like,
right.
no, but and when you add the chemo on that, of course, chemo has its effects on you. It's done a number on some of my teeth. Hey, I'm alive though.
That's important, and that's why we are here. And speaking of those of us that are here, let's go ahead and see who is in the chat. So Bill's Mafia Hitman says, I seen the title and hopped in here like, yeah, and then I seen 44 hours and was like, damn, LOL, I'll be back. Well, I appreciate your being extra early. Of course, this is Walter's YouTube page. You can also just go to YouTube and search on the Walter Bosley channel.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Here you can find Walter Bosley's books, lulu.com/spotlight/Lost Continent Library. And if you should decide to send me a tip, you may do so here at paypal.me/GilBavel. It's 100% secure. I don't see any of your credit card information or anything like that. And, of course, you may go to gilstore.com to pick up awesome Cardinal Sin and Into the Fringe merch like this wonderful t-shirt that I have on. Hail Darius Munchausen, without whom I would be just dog paddling, basically. Hail Pat S., good buddy of mine, who says, don't forget to tweet out the show. And there is Walter's blog, empireofthewheel.blogspot.com. And Ari is here.
Tiki, come on.
Hello, sinners.
Come on.
Herc 130 is in the house. Hail all, driving, so I will just listen. Hey, glad to have you here, brother. Ari says, hail, Walter.
Yes.
The Reluctant Dragon is here and says, evening all. Brandon Looney Tunes fan 2000 says, what's up, Doc?
Come on.
We have the lovely Sherry in the house, who says, greetings, Cardinal Sin and Walter Bosley. Bill's Mafia Hitman is back 44 hours later. Hello, Malaya Grimm. It's good to have you. And Cam's Crash Courses. Cam, please don't forget to email me your mailing address so I can send you your winnings from our last show. And we also have Pat S. And Ted's Nerd World is in the house. Hey, all. Fishbelly is here. Ari says the booster is for the original Wuhan strain, but Omicron BA.5 is what's running through the U.S. right now. That's a very good point.
True.
Warachi at Darius Munchausen says, questions for the two gents. I wonder if our world has some inherent danger in traveling here, as so many encounters seem to be with vehicles that need repair or have crashed.
Yeah, or all the bad engineer aliens are the ones who come here, right?
That's right. And, of course, Malaya Grimm says, very glad to hear your surgery went well, Walter Bosley, and no more boosters. Nice.
Thank you, Malia. Agreed. Absolutely. Now, Malia's going to be coming out to California in October to get the Empire of the Wheel tour.
October, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I might just have to fly out and check that out with you guys.
Hey, well, I'll fill you in on the dates.
Are there brew pubs on the way in the tour?
Actually, we can fit one in because there's one right over here in Redlands.
Awesome.
It's called Hangar 24. Look for it in your stores because it's a pretty good small brewery. Their stuff's pretty good. Hangar 24, and it's all.
And that's like a
aviation
UFO
theme.
Hangar 18 reference, right?
Kind of, because they're right across the street from the little Redlands Municipal Airport, and all their beers are classic aviation themes, like biplanes and stuff. And
that's
I'll
cool.
tell you, they got a couple of ambers that are my favorites. But they have music when they have open days. They'll have a band there, and you can get whatever their beers are, their products, and they have food. And sometimes that band is the band that's led by Joseph Farrell's sometime author partner and good friend, Scott D. DeHart, who wrote the Shelley Unbound book about who really wrote Frankenstein. And he's
I'm going to have to pick that up.
He's a musician. That's something you guys have in common. And you should see Scott DeHart's guitar collection. Oh, boy.
Is his book available on Lulu?
His
or
book's
Amazon?
Available at Amazon. He's got a bigger publisher.
So as you might know, KU won the national championship, and I'm just going to put my Goose Island right in that little koozie. If I can get it to go in.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the city you live in is where my student loan payments used to go.
Yes, we had Sally Mae and Freddie Mac here.
You did, didn't you? That's what I thought. Yeah.
It was awful. What a bunch of assholes.
I'll tell you, I'm proud to say I'm one of those who paid my student loan. I didn't shirk it.
You paid it off.
Yeah, I did. Paid it off.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be one of those folks that didn't pay it off, like, is so popular now.
Right. And just to let you know, Walter, I did an unboxing slightly before this stream.
Oh.
And another thing showed up, so I'm going to do one with you.
Do it.
Do it. So this is one where you don't have to have anything to open it. You just pull, which never works.
I have a hard time
It worked this time.
making the blue and white ones work right. Sometimes they open real easy. Other times it's...
Oh, my goodness.
What have we done?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was going to be this many. The Mummy's Shroud.
Oh, nice.
Warning to every creature of flesh and blood, beware the beat of cloth-wrapped feet. Shriek!
It's a shriek fest.
It is, and this is a movie I've been looking to get for a long time. This comes from Synapse, who did an incredible 4K restoration of the Hammer film Vampire Circus.
Oh, indeed. That's streaming right now. I watched it last summer, I think, also when it was streaming somewhere else. But yeah, that's a fun one. That is a fun one. Vampire Circus.
What else do we have here? The collector's edition of Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
With Christopher Lee.
Now, that's his first one where Peter Cushing crosses the candlesticks to kill him, right? Or is that a different...
I believe you're right. Yes.
Okay.
Then we have The Satanic Rites of Dracula.
Rights, yeah.
Great movie.
That's the one with the hippie clan and the one guy who wants to do the black magic and gets them all.
And that takes place actually in the Highgate area, where of course the famous Highgate Cemetery is located. Mm-hmm. Then we have the collector's edition of Kiss of the Vampire.
I know I've seen that. Recently, I mean, like when
An
I say
exceptionally well made and breathtaking film.
yeah, I think I've seen that in the last 2 years.
I was going to ask you, have you seen Mark of the Vampire or Shadow of the Vampire?
Oh, Shadow is one of my favorite contemporary.
That's the one with Willem Dafoe, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Where they were making Nosferatu, and they had Max Schreck was an actual vampire.
Yes, just a wonderful idea and well-made movie. I really like that film.
Yeah, return me onto that movie.
Mark of the Vampire. Am I getting that? Was that the remake of London After Midnight with Bela Lugosi? Or is that
I don't know. All I remember is that it was like a put-up job to scare people, kind of Scooby-Doo. There was no vampire. They did everything with, pulleys and monofilament and
Bela
like
Lugosi's in it, right?
I don't know if he is or not. I'll have to check. Let me see.
Because that is not just technically, it's considered a sound era remake of London After Midnight. Because that's the plot of London After Midnight.
I did not know that.
A lot of people don't realize that Lon Chaney Sr.'s classic character, where he's got the pointed teeth and the top hat and the dark circles around the eyes, he's playing the fake vampire role as the detective.
Mm-hmm.
And
it says here, Mark of the Vampire, also known as Vampires of Prague, is a 1935 American horror film starring Lionel Barrymore, Elizabeth Allen, Bela Lugosi, Lionel Atwill, and Gene Hirschholt, and directed by Todd Browning. So you really don't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's quite a cast, and it's a Browning. It's a Browning film.
A Browning joint.
Yeah, you can put it that way.
And then
I still keep hoping that I'm one of those that hopes that somewhere in some archive they're going to finally find London After Midnight. But
that'd be awesome. Otherwise, I'm kind of interested in remaking it. If the script exists and we have the imagery, I think, it would be really cool to do a black and white movie of London After Midnight and do it sort of in the style of the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society.
Oh, like a pastiche kind of retro silent, the movie that's lost. Here it is, kind of recreated. Yeah, that would be the way to do it.
But you'd have to get either an orchestral score or the Ally Orchestra or somebody, to do the audio.
An organist. Do an organist. In the 1920s, a lot of it was the live organist there in the theater.
Have you ever seen Carnival of Souls?
Have I seen it? I own 2 copies of it. I have a Famous Monsters t-shirt.
That was shot here in Lawrence, Kansas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I am sick to death of organ music after that.
Uh-oh.
It's basically organ music all the time.
There's going to be organ music in Kaleidoscope Grimoire, so be prepared. Hey, let me okay, go ahead, finish.
This is the Blu-ray special edition from Criterion, high definition video and audio of The Uninvited.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that one is known for its particularly eerie and creepy hauntings effects and stuff, which most people think of the film The Haunting, the black and white one, but actually The Uninvited, from what I understand, before The Haunting is considered a previous excellent example of haunting
gothic horror
done really well and right in a film, because it has its eerie moments.
And then the last one that I got is Taste the Blood of Dracula.
Yes, that's a good one.
So that's my little unboxing. I apologize. I didn't realize there was that many of them.
Oh, let me share something with you here.
Sure.
Now, you sent me, as a lot of people know, you sent me the Robbie the Robot model kit from Polar Lights, and I have officially begun the take it out of the box, crack open the actual box. I mean, I already opened it in the unboxing, but the official, it's in the hopper. It's on the pile of the stack of in the process. So finally, but as I told you, I'm going to go real slow with that one because I want.
Actually, you nailed the timetable because you said you were going to start breaking that out in early July.
Did I? Oh,
you did. I remember that on one of your streams.
Well,
yeah. I was just going to say, for anybody out there, please do subscribe to the Walter Bosley YouTube channel. And the link is in the chat already. Walter goes live a couple of times a week and talks for 2 or 3 hours. And now that he can see better, he'll probably maybe do even more.
Yeah, as soon as I gotta test to see if I'm gonna be able to go, read again with just the one eye working. And I'm pretty sure that when I get the new reading glasses, I'll be able to read again, and I'll be back to on my channel. For those interested, I do this series of uploads titled Walter Reads Stuff, and I pull books off my shelf and I'll read a chapter from various books. And I really enjoy doing that series, and I was doing 2 or 3 a week before my eyesight went wacky. So I'll be getting back to that soon, and all sorts of other things now that I'll be able to read again.
I wanted to mention to you, or ask you if you knew, you probably know, as everyone in the audience does, that I became eligible for monetization. I had way more view hours than I needed, which is great, and I thank each and every one of you for doing that. And, of course, past 1,000 subscribers. So I got 2 emails from YouTube, and the first one was like, yay, you passed the goal. Yeah. And the second one was also sort of semi-congratulatory. Then I got this third one that said, you're not eligible for monetization because you've ran afoul of our community guidelines, which means our fucking rules.
Yeah.
And then they gave me some vague ideas about what I, needed. They wanted me to show them how I edit, how I put stuff on the channel and stuff like that. For the advertisers, it's for the children. And so I'm in the midst of putting that back together. I actually had everything in my head that I wanted to type in to my appeal, and then I forgot it. So I'm going to hunker down and do that again.
So for you to be monetized, you have to
I have to make an appeal video.
Okay. Do you have to now watch the language, watch the content, or are you still able to say, my stuff is not for kids, and be monetized?
Neither of those things. They said that they couldn't tell. They thought it was too vague. My process, my first appeal video. I said the programs that I use and everything, but they actually want me to show them. So I have to take video with my phone, right, and just shoot me at my computer with the editing software, and then shoot something like this where I have a guest on, and then the other one had to do with something completely different.
Well, okay.
I don't remember.
Why do they need to know?
Repetitious content. They said I had repetitious content, which I think has to do with my openings. Remember the opening to this show and Masters of the Genre, and I have all these openings for different shows.
Yeah.
So I think that must be what they're talking about. Also, one thing I wanted to mention to you, the reason I brought this up, Walter, is they mentioned specifically in the community guidelines that if you read from somebody else's material, that will prevent you from getting monetized.
Oh, F them. I've not monetized. I'm eligible to be monetized, but
yes, you know what?
their rules are just such a pain in the ass that screw their monetization. I'll find another way to, that's why I tell people, it's like, you know what, I'll just keep working on making my living by offering the books, but I'm not gonna jump through their hoops.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. There's a bunch of jumping through hoops, and the first time that I saw, after the 2 bubbly congratulations emails that I got, the next one made me feel like a total loser. I was just like, oh man.
Yeah, they're playing games with this. It's, oh, congratulations, but now we're gonna make it. When I was first eligible, between the time that I reached the number of view hours or whatever it is, I put in the application or whatever. I filled out the thing I needed to fill out, and then they came back with, oh well, our minimum view hours has changed by like 1,000 or something. They did this a few years ago. They upped how many view hours you had to have, and okay, I finally matched those, and the whole thing's such a big pain in the butt that, to me, so far, I don't think it's worth jumping through their hoops. I'm
planning on having, being a YouTuber be my living. So
there you go.
I'm going to jump through their hoops, but I'm not going to like it.
You're probably better at having patience with this kind of stuff than I am. That kind of stuff, that kind of thing. And you're better at the technical stuff. I'm honestly the quintessential end user. I like to hop on with my camera, my nice mic, and do my thing. And if interesting, intelligent, essentially promotional readings of other people's books, which could get people interested in buying that author's books, if that's going to keep me from being monetized,
then fuck them.
YouTube knows where they can shove their crap, because but let me show you the piece of the Robbie model.
Oh, please, yes. Let me make you big building. For that.
Now, your show's flagged as not for kids, right?
Yes. My entire channel is flagged as not for kids.
Because I started on Altera first, because she's just so I can give some background here, with the Robbie the Robot model, it's the poster version, which shows Robbie holding Altera, Dr. Morbius's daughter, in the film, and so you get the little Altera, and she's in progress. Here she is. And I've started painting the face, and once I get the face done, I'll do the hair, and
then the top goes over that, right?
No, I'm gonna have it where her dress is ripped and it's kind of hanging. I'm gonna get a piece of
just like the poster,
shiny gold fabric, and it's hanging. So that's why I asked about your ratings, because she's gonna be just like this.
Well, it's a toy. I mean,
it's a model. Yeah, and so
if they nail me for that, I might just have the same attitude you do.
But anyway, I just wanted to show you that I've started the process of the Robbie the Robot thing, and then when she's done, I'll put her safely away while I go through the long process of putting Robbie together. So
very cool.
I'm having a lot of fun with these things.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that I wasn't the only person that sent you models and stuff like that. So let's go through a little bit more of the chat here before we get started.
Okay.
Boy, there's a lot. I want to make sure I get to... okay, so... Okay, so Cam says he's sent me a direct message on Twitter. So Malaya Grimm says that would be awesome. Gil, Bill's Mafia Hitman says, I had Omicron in January. I had one fever that broke overnight, and that was it. I did go get tested, and I was positive for it. The Reluctant Dragon, formerly known as Ivan Ivanovich, says, Earth is a lot like Stuckey's. Wouldn't it be embarrassing to find out that aliens only stop here because their children need to use the bathroom? David Brenner.
And they love the caramel nut logs.
That's right. And Bill's Mafia Hitman says Hangar 18 in Wright-Patterson Field in Ohio. It's where the crashed UFO from Roswell was shipped and stored. Allegedly, actually,
allegedly,
it was taken to what's the name of the Fort Worth field? Do you remember?
Fort Worth or El Paso?
It was Fort Worth because General Roger Ramey had it sent down there, and then it did make its way from Fort Worth to the Foreign Technology Division at Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Let's see. Canadian Spider-Man is here. Hail. And he wants everyone to like and share the stream. Thank you. Hails all around. Fresh eyes, says Philip Blair. That's very good. I was going to ask you, Walter, is it weird having one eye that's crystal clear and one that's not?
I'm, as you can tell, I'm doing this to see which eye to use to see stuff. Yeah, it's going to be an adjustment. But as far as the distance vision goes, if I have both eyes open without, because they had me pop out the lens of my glasses, and that was worse than just not wearing the glasses and having the one eye blurred. So that's okay. There's no way I'd get behind the wheel of a car with this, you know. But it's a very refreshing to see. So far so good. I just got to get the other one done, and that problem's all solved. And
nice.
Yeah, the reading. I'm going to test the reading, like I said, tonight. But so far, it's been tough to try to read, even after the one is fixed. But
Pat S. says, Cardinal Sin is the coolest hoarder I know. Clean, too. Ari says, Mark of the Vampire is a classic.
Yes. Indeed.
Welcome. Ari says, no, not a remake. Okay, all right. Back up. It's all cool.
It's considered by many to be kind of a remake. I mean, it's got a very
London After Midnight
plot. Yeah. It's got a very
there are differences, but
yeah,
it's a hell of a movie. Yeah. He also mentions that yes, Lugosi is in it. Malaya Grimm says, hey there, Canadian Spider-Man. Freaking awesome Spider-Man costume, by the way. We did a Masters of the Genre extra last night, Walter, and Canadian Spider-Man has never read a single Spider-Man comic. So I decided to send him some Bronze Age Spider-Man comics. Yeah. And I made sure that they had at least one issue in between them so that he could get on there and buy some himself and get the whole collection.
Yeah.
But he came on with the entire Spider-Man outfit, and he's an acrobat. He's he's an outdoorsman. He does lots of fishing and hunting and chopping cords of wood and stuff like that. So he's nice and lean and fit right into it. It looked very cool. Very realistic. Darius Munchausen says, Bela Lugosi's dead. Undead. Ari says, don't hold your breath. I thought London After Midnight was a murder mystery.
Technically, specifically the plot of that is, but I've always read that it was kind of a semi-remake of London After Midnight, Mark of the Vampire, and a lot of sources say that. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Barrymore is the detective in Mark of the Vampire, whereas in London After Midnight, Lon Chaney Sr. was the detective. So there's a difference there, but essentially it's supposed to be kind of somewhat of a remake of
bloody microphone.
According to, hey, you know what? I have to confess something that I just figured out and read today. I didn't figure it out. This is something. I have been a fan of a particular movie for over 40 years. This movie had a huge impact on me when I first saw it. Saw it multiple times in the theater back in 80, 81. And dummy me, I can't believe that it took me this long to see that Altered States is essentially Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Isn't it?
And I'm watching a discussion of the making of Altered States, and the guy just kind of throws it out there. You know, it's a version of Jekyll and Hyde, and I'm like,
was this like the writer?
What's that?
Was this the writer or the director?
No. Patty Chayefsky died some years back, but no, this was just a guy who was talking about the making of the film, and he's right. It's I know that Chayefsky was inspired by John Lilly and his work with, but basically, think about it. It's basically a Jekyll and Hyde story, I didn't see for over 40 years of loving that movie, but essentially it is a Jekyll and Hyde type, story. He's a scientist. He's the serum he's injecting it in him instead of drinking it, and it's transforming him into the primal, that's Jekyll and Hyde. It's just, and they're both cautionary tales.
Did you know that Dr. John C. Lilly murdered 7 dolphins because he didn't realize that anesthetizing them would prevent them from breathing?
Yeah, I didn't know the details on that. I've heard that he killed some dolphins, but I never knew the details on that.
Pat S. says Walter's t-shirt is awesome, but it's creepy as fuck.
As intended to be. These are demonic characters in the story.
And please subscribe to the Walter Bosley YouTube channel.
In which you can see, by the way, I want to say, if you go back to last summer or last spring, the film that this image is from, my first silent movie, is posted for free viewing at my YouTube channel. And there's a discussion from a psychological theme perspective with Jungian scholar Laura London about this film, Hell's Bells. So watch the movie and then listen to the discussion, or vice versa, but the discussion reveals some things about the film.
Very cool. Bill's Mafia Hitman says subscription added.
Thank you.
So Walter, you got a subscription before we even do anything.
Oh, this is wild.
It's wild, wacky stuff. Joel, greetings, says, I enjoy the Walter Reads videos.
Well, as soon as I can read again, they're coming back big time.
I have to admit, Walter, when I first stumbled on that show, I thought of Walter Reed, military hospital.
Sure, a lot of people do.
And I was like, what does this have to do with... Lawrence Martin says, hello, everyone.
Hello, Lawrence.
Pat asks, YouTube is a mess with this stuff. Yes, that's true. The Reluctant Dragon says, do you have to film yourself peeling an orange? Bill's Mafia also says, everyone has repetition on their channels. I agree.
Exactly.
He goes on to say, if I made a channel about sports, it would be sports all the time. Definition of repetition.
They're just, I think their silly ass rules are arbitrary, because
they do seem arbitrary.
They don't want people being YouTube stars, average people. They've sold their soul into that. Just like other social media has done, they push people who are already famous or famous and rich, wealthy enough. They push them. They would love to have them, have a channel. But us regular folks, it's just like, and this, Gil, the way the film industry used to be. It had its gatekeepers, and it was hard to break in. Well, then social media and technology opened up filmmaking and media and this.
And now
kind of
anybody
stuff.
can do it.
Yeah. And then what they're doing is they're finding the new way to instill the old-fashioned gatekeepers. That's all they're doing, is they're doing what the film industry used to do for years. And it's just a way to, it's cliquish is what it is. But, I'm sure
and
that
not click-ish. You mean like a group of people.
Yeah, the QUE spelling of
right.
clique. Yeah, it's the same old, but you know what? Just like independent cinema, you just press on, you do it, and you exist in spite of them. So.
That's right. Bill's Mafia Hitman says, can't you get sponsors without being monetized? To answer your question, Bill's Mafia Hitman, my channel actually is sponsored by StreamYard. I wrote them an email with the "I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me" type thing. And they said, okay, well, we'll sponsor your channel. And they just dumped 300 USD into my account. If you think of an account as like a big glass of water or just a big, kind of square tube, they just dump the money into it. So I am actually looking forward to being able to get to the $50 a month version where you can stream in 1080p, and then you'll be able to see all the stuff behind me.
Oh, nice. Well, can't you, even on YouTube, even if you're not monetized, if somebody felt like you got enough viewers, a company or whatever, and you did an on-air commercial,
of course,
like more streamers are doing, you take a minute to talk about the product, you can be sponsored, and it's like, to heck with you, YouTube. I don't need your monetization.
Yep.
So I noticed more, Tim Pool does that, Jeremy.
I'm just getting into Geek Grind Coffee. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they sponsor a lot of smaller YouTube channels. And it's basically like an affiliate. You get 10% of any orders that come from your channel. If you put in the code Cardinal Sin at checkout, you'll get 10%.
Oh, that's how they monitor where it's coming from.
Exactly.
Good. That's kind of cool.
Canadian Spider-Man says, hey folks, here it is, the main link to Cardinal Sin's channel, so you can check out all the many different videos he has there.
Cool.
YouTube.com/Cardinal Sin. He's right. That's it. And he goes on to say, subscribe if you want to help Cardinal Sin grow his channel. And if you hit the notification bell, you won't miss another show like this. Ari says, you're a caramel nut log. Bill's Mafia Hitman says, I'm pretty sure you can. Mike Barra has sponsors and he definitely can't be monetized. He has to take his podcast down every day and put it on Rumble. That's absolutely true.
What's he doing over there that is...
He's very, very far right, like MkUltra. And he talks about stuff that is like Alex Jones conspiracy theory type stuff.
Okay. So
and then immediately after the show, he puts it on Rumble. So basically, his channel has no content until the live stream. So if you subscribe, hit the notification bell on Mike Barra's channel, you'll know when he's streaming. And then he has his little cult of personality, I had him on the show. We talked about Dark Mission and stuff like that, along with Doomcock and Gary Ambrosia. It was a great show, and we just didn't. We stayed away from politics, so it was just fine.
Which is the wise thing, I think.
He's definitely kind of cuckoo.
I mean, most people, you watch me, my professional past will tell you, he's probably right of center. Yeah, no duh. I mean,
he's really right of center.
Federal law enforcement guy, I mean, some of my opinion come through a little bit, so you can tell. Yeah, I admit it. I'm a right of center guy, but I'm a centrist. And I don't want to alienate half of my audience. Exactly.
That's why I have a pop culture channel and a UFO/paranormal.
Well, I think you and I are probably alike in this way. Where I say that I'm essentially right of center, but I'm an issues guy, and I'm sure that my opinions on some issues, would ruffle feathers on the right. I don't care, because we're all individuals, and I think we should take things issue by issue, but that's my approach. So, but yeah.
Do you happen to know, Walter, where Caswell Air Force Base is?
Caswell or Carswell?
It's he says Caswell.
I think it's Carswell, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken. Is it in Oklahoma? Is that the one that's in Oklahoma City? Been a while since I had all that.
Oh, I was very close to being in Oklahoma when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I just couldn't keep up with all the dancing but I remember singing all the words.
Yeah, I admit that I used to, when I was at Wright Pat, I had a 9-state area of responsibility. Even though I was at Wright Pat, I had 9 U.S. states that all Air Force installations fell under my purview for my specialty. And I was pretty good. I knew all those bases at that time, of course, because they were my responsibility. But man, I got out of the Air Force now over 20 years ago. So
bye. Philip Blair asks, what was the first horror genre movie ever made?
Wasn't it Frankenstein?
And Bill's Hitman Mafia goes on to say, Bill's Mafia Hitman says, I think Nosferatu would be the original generation horror movie.
It's one of the earliest great ones, but it's technically the first one. Might have been it was either that 19 whatever it was 11 or 09 or whatever version of Frankenstein, because Frankenstein's been done a lot, or it was the George Méliès one of those haunted castle things that he did.
What do you think about that Shot to the Moon? I've always heard that was the first science fiction series.
I believe so.
Movie.
Méliès, I mean Méliès, that's a great story. When I remember when I saw the movie Hugo, having no idea that it was about George Méliès, when I realized what this movie was about, who it was about, I was like, oh my gosh. And that's why I ended up loving that movie. But yeah, he's the one that did all those. In fact, in Kaleidoscope Grimoire, I've already done what I call one Méliès scene. Yeah, that movie right there, which I think you'll enjoy. It's my nod to George Méliès, a big prop that has moving parts, and not as spectacular as his, but
I can't wait to see it.
Looks cool.
I'm literally on the edge of my seat.
When I'm done with the live actor stuff, I've got one more live actor scene to do on a set, and then I can jump to the miniatures and the stop motion animation. But when I get all the live actor set pieces done, I'm going to do a little cut together of some visual samples for you and others to see the progress of the film. So, but I think you'll like what I've done so far.
I'm just going to go through these comments here and make sure everybody gets their comment in. Philip Blair says, YouTube has some algorithms that need updating. Hey, Dominic Douglas is here. Good to see you, my friend. And the Reluctant Dragon says, Carswell Air Force Base was in Fort Worth. Yeah.
Okay, so Carswell is the one in Fort Worth. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm not up on my Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. Those I'm not up on.
Pat S says, Cardinal Sin has 1.11 subs. When he has 6.66 subs, y'all should have a creepy party. I'm Catholic, so I can't attend. Well, what if we have a party when I have 6.67? That would be the neighbor of the beast.
Yeah, and then you can attend, Pat S.
There you go. Bill's Mafia Hitman says, I would probably lean a little left of center on a lot of issues, but the two biggest hot button issues I have, I lean so far right I'm falling off the edge. I wish we could vote on the issues as opposed to one idiot to represent us on all the issues.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice.
I get that way sometimes too. It's that's why I haven't identified as a Republican in a long time, many years.
Ari is a mathematician and math teacher and instructor, professor, whatever, and he says rounded beast. as opposed to the 6.66666. 6.7 just rounds it up.
Piece, yeah.
And Darius Munchausen says, at Cardinal Sin, Illuminati confirmed. Yes, indeed. All right. Now let's go ahead, and now that we've been screwing around for an hour, let's get to the show. Mm-hmm. And of course, our guest here is Walter Bosley. I guess I would say after the break, but we don't have a break. So let's get right to it. And like I said before, we have an autographed copy of Walter's book, Secret Missions 5, Veiled Destiny, as our giveaway. Make sure to stick around to the end of the show. You must be present in the chat to be eligible to win. So tonight, we're talking about MkUltra, UFOs, and the Men in Black. Now, the subtitle of your book, Shimmering Light, is Lost in an MkUltra House of Anu. Now, you and Albert Rosales and I are writing a book together, and I don't want to talk about it that much because my experience is if you talk about it, you don't do it.
Right.
But as far as MkUltra is concerned, with your experience as an investigator and an operative/agent for the AFOSI, the FBI, and your other intelligence postings, can you give us a basic understanding of Project MkUltra, and then maybe let us know how it's informed your work?
Well, MkUltra, a lot of people know, but basically MkUltra was this program developed by the CIA in the 1950s, inspired by what German psychologists had started working on during the Nazi Germany era. And through Operation Paperclip, we got some of these psychologists, and the CIA in the 50s, they were trying to counter the concern of captured pilots, specifically captured pilots, possibly being brainwashed. So in a stated effort, this was the stated effort, to counter this, they felt that they thought that they needed to study brainwashing and these kinds of things so that they would understand what might be occurring to any downed, captured pilots of ours.
Would this be in response to the Nazis in World War II?
No. This was in the 50s, so this was during the Cold War, and they were concerned about...
Because the Nazi regime had that down cold.
Yes. Yeah, and this is where the CIA got the idea, okay, and the initial knowledge base that led into MkUltra. And there were a few smaller programs under different names that all ended up becoming MkUltra. But they were specifically concerned about the Chinese doing this, but also the Soviets. Now, what started as a, okay, we got to understand what the enemy's doing so that we can teach our guys, train our guys how to counter what the enemy could be doing if they get captured, led into, this is interesting stuff. How can we, as a current popular carnival barking huckster likes to say, to paraphrase him, they thought, how can we weaponize this technology? And how do we weaponize this psychological stuff? And so in the effort to initially allegedly counter Chinese brainwashing led to, how can we develop assassins, literally, specifically assassins? And what they were trying to do is come up with a way to apply through hypnosis a way to activate an assassin.
So this would be kind of like a Manchurian Candidate thing?
Exactly, a Manchurian Candidate thing. The movie exemplifies exactly what MkUltra was actually trying to do and working on developing. And the idea was, with a code word, put them in their operational mode, they go do their mission, and then with another code word, it takes them out of it, and they themselves would not remember what they had done.
You know what that brings to mind, Walter, is Sirhan after the Robert Kennedy murder.
He displayed.
He was like completely lost at sea. When police grabbed him and stuff, he was like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what just happened. Right. And they said to him, you killed RFK. But of course, we know that's not necessarily the case, because there were bullets from 5 different guns in the kitchen lodged into the walls. And the door jamb specifically, I think, had 3. And they removed the door jamb and put in a new one very shortly after that occurred.
Yeah, he was displaying known signs of someone who had been exposed to this kind of
Sirhan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that became their goal, their objective. So out of that grew other possibilities that were all aimed at protecting the operational security of either an assassination operation or any other kind of intel or national security op. It was, hey, wait a minute, we can use this stuff to, we can get our team of people working on something deeply classified, and then when they're no longer needed, we can make it to where they don't remember working on it. And this all involved learning how to lay false narratives in the psyche of the person so that they would have a different memory than what they actually did. Now,
and this was created in an environment of drugs, hypnosis, sleep deprivation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in fact, I'm doing a brain dump. It's in the book, but there was a German psychologist who started with using their narcotics with this, and there was the guy who it started with the mushrooms, the psilocybin, the
psilocybin.
Psilocybin. Yeah, I get it backwards. And then that led to when the CIA developed LSD, and of course Timothy Leary and John Lilly were both involved with that. Timothy Leary,
Ram Dass,
yeah, and the CIA got in all sorts of trouble. But what led to my interest was learning that in the 1950s, the CIA brought in the military branches to demonstrate this for them to see if it would be useful to them, or to see if they could bring anything to the table for the CIA's application of it. And of the branches, Army, Navy, and Air Force, you find out that the U.S. Air Force was the most turned on among the branches by MkUltra. So much so that they started their own MkUltra research program. And here's what's interesting is, in between 73 and 75, when we were having the church committee hearings where the CIA had to come public and come clean on MkUltra, the Air Force wasn't there. The Air Force wasn't required to come clean on what they had been doing. And what they continue to do, we can only guess. So because
do we know if MkUltra ever stopped? Did that project ever have an end?
Allegedly, they were supposed to have stopped it back then. In the 70s, and that's my point, is
in the 70s,
the CIA allegedly stopped it, but we don't know what the Air Force.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
So the fact that I had my dad's weird story that I wanted to look into, and I had been told when I was an OSI agent, I'd been told in the late 90s that hypnosis had been used on my dad relative to his experience in Arizona that involved this weird story. That had stayed with me. So then when I'm learning about MkUltra, and then I learn about the Air Force's interest, and this is all during the period that my dad entered and was in the Air Force, and he was in the right command. because his specialty actually fell under the aerospace medicine division. Anything to do with life support systems, which he was involved with, and a pressure suit is a life support system, that falls under aerospace medicine. Okay, and we got that model, by the way, even in the pre-World War II days. Both we and the Germans put all this stuff under aerospace medicine. And so I wondered, wait a minute, I was told they used hypnosis on him, and I thought, my gosh, oh my gosh, what if this story he's been telling me for decades
has just been a screen memory?
Has been a false narrative, a screen memory. And then when I dove into it, and I realized this is just resonating too much, that with the idea that what my dad thinks he remembered might have been a false narrative laid in.
One of the people in the chat, Canadian Spider-Man, says, I'm guessing a strong-minded individual would not be a good candidate.
Not necessarily.
To which I would say,
I will not make any deals with you. I've resigned. I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered. My life is my own.
Is it?
Yes, you won't hold me.
Here's the problem with the idea that a strong-minded individual wouldn't be a good candidate. And I pointed this out in the book, and I say it all the time. You have to remember, within the context of why we were told they were using this and developing it, they wouldn't have needed to use it on any resistant targets, any resistant personnel. These people, now the CIA's shady dealings where they sprayed LSD in the air at parties on unbeknown, people that were unwitting, that's beside the point.
Aerosolize.
We're talking the Air Force's application of this. Everybody that they would have applied it to would have been willing, said, hey, we're going to have you work on this really deeply classified thing, and we're going to use this new psychology,
and we're going to give you some drugs, man.
And through narcotics and through this, that, and the other, you won't even remember having worked on the project. So that's operational security. So the nature of that beast is, most of the personnel are proud and excited to work on these kind of projects. So, my dad and the others, if my hypothesis is right, would have been willing. So my dad was a strong-willed guy, but if you're willing, strong will or not, this stuff's going to work.
Right.
They prove that to themselves, when you dig in there. Yeah. So yeah, if you were trying to do this stuff to somebody who wasn't a willing participant, you might have an issue with it working, but they were all willing.
All right, let's go to my second question. And because we are in the second hour, we'll be taking questions from the chat. But I also wanted to inform you, Walter, that we are kind of in rapid fire mode.
Okay.
So, what do you think is the role of ritual in the UFO mystery?
The role of ritual in the UFO mystery is all about the enlightenment of the witness. The personal, mystical, spiritual enlightenment of the witness.
So this is the people that say that they're not malevolent, they're here to help mankind, they're here to prevent the end of the world.
Well,
that kind of thing.
I interestingly, no. I think
all those contactees and abductees report being shown, holographic images of the world blowing up and stuff.
And look how many of them turned out to be liars and con men. No, that whole narrative about there are space brothers and they're here to, that's nonsense. That's contactee lore and stuff. It just
doesn't tickle your fancy.
Well, to me it's not legit, and it does not explain ritual in UFO sightings. Ritual in the UFO experience is a completely different thing. This is an intelligence that has been with us forever and is directly connected to our enlightenment as intellectual sentient beings. And whether we do this Space Brothers stuff or not is immaterial to them, because it's about the individual. See, and the reason that won't be popular with a lot of people, kind of in our community, and particularly in the New Age community, is these people are all besotted with the collective hive mind crap also, which, we are individual beings. And anyway, you wanted the shotgun approach, so I don't want to go off on
the rapid fire.
Yeah, the rapid fire thing. Yeah.
Okay, so in a sentence or two, what do you think about Ashtar? Angels, demons, or men in black?
If it's legit, if the whole Ashtar thing is real to begin with, it could be. It could be whoever the men in black actually are. Any of this stuff could be these beings we've come to know as demons. You have to understand that any of these things could be what we call a demonic entity.
Question from Philip Blair. Should we be going alone out under the stars to do rituals or ceremonial magic to try and see UFOs? Why or why not?
I'll say this, 2 parts real quick. You absolutely could have UFO experiences as a result of doing those kind of rituals and ceremonial magic, but I don't think I would advise it, because going back to, you don't know what or who you're contacting, or what the nature of them is. So I would not advise that to the average person. No.
Yeah. I remember one of the UFO lectures that I put on in a previous life was Bill Caulfield, who was a pilot for a major airline company, and he had been for 40 years. Uh-huh. And his main sort of headline was, "Do not seek out alien contact. Alien contact will be bad for you."
And it could very well be.
Next question, rapid fire mode. What do you think is the ultra-terrestrial origin of the Masonic fraternity?
Somewhere in there is our friend, my friend, whatever, the chthonic gods and goddesses, to include Hecate. And I say that because of Jachin and Boaz connection to that.
Fair enough. Where has your research led you about the rocket scientists, cults, the occult, and magicians?
I have come to, starting with Aleister Crowley, we're talking where my research has led me. I do not demonize Aleister Crowley. He wasn't a perfect guy. He had some negative things about him. He had some positive things about him. He's not the dark baby killer that so many knee-jerk people insist that he was.
Indeed.
Jack Parsons, an incredibly fascinating individual who also had his flaws.
Jack Parsons Laboratory, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
JPL.
Yeah. I think Parsons, I tend to think there may be something to the things Parsons claimed to have accomplished. You remember, he told the FBI that he thought all this UFO stuff was a result of what he had done. So, yeah. So, from that perspective, which is interesting because you have that knucklehead L. Ron Hubbard in the mix, who was not a fool and was dabbling in this stuff, obviously with Parsons.
What's interesting about L. Ron Hubbard is that he wrote a book about a science fiction writer that makes a religion. Because he was a science fiction writer before he had discovered or invented Dianetics.
Yeah.
And kind of like Hitler with Mein Kampf, he planned out exactly what he was going to do in that book.
I think Hubbard definitely applied psychological tactics, or even you could go as far and say psychological magic in a sense, based on what he gleaned from being involved with ceremonial magic.
And I mean, the guy was definitely a fraud. When you get to the 33rd degree or whatever in Freemasonry, you get to see his little handwritten notes for Scientology. Yeah, that's the big.
He definitely used it to perpetrate fraud and other weird things. So but I think in general, people should pay attention. Ceremonial magic I am convinced, I do think, definitely has a connection to the UFO mystery, and I think ultra-terrestrials, so to speak, may explain much more of the actual UFO mystery than the ET hypothesis.
Speaking of ultra-terrestrials, if there were a breakaway civilization or society, where would they have gone? The moon, Mars, or would these crypto-terrestrials be hanging out inside the Earth, do you think?
Oh, wait, you're talking about breakaways or crypto-terrestrials?
Both.
Oh, okay.
I mean, breakaway societies could be called crypto-terrestrials or ultra-terrestrials.
If you to call them ultra-terrestrials, they would have to become denizens of other dimensions, technically. I see them as two distinctly different entities, different groups. Breakaways are just humans like us that have their own thing. Now, as far as where they might go physically, if they found a way to get themselves to Mars and either find habitable areas either inside or on the surface of Mars, then they, in that event, those big ifs, they could be on Mars. Same with the moon, and some people believe, in fact, there's been a recent movie made about the moon being hollow and it's a structure and everything, but that's been an idea that's been around a long time. They could have found, there's a theory that the moon was a giant geophysical ship that was brought here, and that in ancient times there were literally still those people living inside the moon. Well, if a breakaway discovered that was true and they found a way to live inside the moon, they could be in the moon. They could be, doesn't mean they are. Or they could be in subterranean spaces. They could be that. Or they could just continue living in our. This is why I got rid of the word civilization for my uses. Breakaways, I call them breakaway groups, not civilizations, because civilization is too big of a word. So they could still just live among us, but have access to the technology to do things we can't do, and that would include very possibly going out into space, because there's all sorts of places on this planet where you could zip off into space and not really be detected.
Or maybe go inside the Earth, a la Antarctica.
Or the various cavern systems and stuff. But these are ideas that, a lot of people have talked about before I ever thought of it.
Well, in that sense, let's go underground. The Deros, the Teros, reptilians. Give us what you got, Walter.
As far as specifically, you're referencing the Shaver mysteries there, something that Ray Palmer took advantage of and really exaggerated. This is all stuff that I see as inspired by actual, what we call mythology, until we find out that it's true. We call a lot of things mythology, but the Paiute Indians, the native culture, which is in California and Nevada and around there historically, they've had long time had these legends of the Havmasuvs, who live inside the earth and the subterranean realms, and they have, they called them flying silver canoes, but basically some type of airship or flying device. And you have other Native American cultures that talk about during a cataclysm, a lot of people went underground and
Right.
many stayed even after it became safe again to live on the
I
surface.
think a great example of that is what the Anasazi left behind.
Yeah, and the Anasazi, they disappeared, what the heck, where did they go, that kind of thing.
But my understanding is that Anasazi in their language means ancient alien.
I've heard another one that I can't remember what it was, but that's interesting if it does. I've heard a different, but that's just the Native American myths in the Southwest. Then you have the Cherokee moon-eyed people who would only come out at night and lived in the hills and lived under the, in caves in the hills. And then you have in the Tibetan lore, inside the Himalaya, and then you have the South American stories of the tunnels and the cave. You've got this all over the world, and I think that's an indicator that there's something to it. That somebody
is your experience traveling with David Hatcher Childress informing this opinion?
Mostly what I've read and researched since traveling with David. The first story David ever told me was about the particular tunnel that he investigated in it's St. Thomas of something. It's down in Brazil. And I'm doing a brain dump on the second part of it, but he's actually been inside a tunnel that he was told a military patrol investigated for 4 days, that they went 4 days deep into this tunnel and they found a larger room, and there were 3 more tunnels shooting off that larger room going farther and deeper, but they didn't have enough supplies and water and stuff like that they had to turn around and come back.
Right.
He's been
famous story.
St. Thomas of the Letters, San Tomas de Letras. This is in South America. It's in Brazil. And David has been in that tunnel himself. And he was really, impressed with that. And that intrigued me, of course, when he first told me that one in 2002. And he's written about this. And since then, in my research, particularly in the Cabrillo book, and then especially in the Burton book, I really dug into a lot of the South American tunnel legends and stuff, and I came away convinced that there's something to it, and that's where I'm at. You know me, I'm a nugget of truth guy. I think
I love those nugget of truth.
Yeah, it's a nugget of truth, and I don't believe in throwing the baby out with the bathwater like a lot of people want to do. So,
okay, so we're going to go into ultra rapid fire mode because we kind of screwed around for the first hour. Where do you place the Men in Black and their magical origins? And I'm going to say, because we're writing a book that may or may not have to do with some of this subject matter, that please, make your replies cognizant of that.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
The Men in Black. There's 2 different ideas of that. You have to realize
archetypes
that are out there. Yeah, one of them that has become the popular one is the idea that they're secret government agents who are out to silence people. Well, that was not the original reports of the Men in Black. The original Men in Black reports were these strange people, but specifically 3 strange males, and sometimes 2, but definitely they seem to be otherworldly. They seem to be odd, that it was not the agents to silence people. I think there might be something. I'm not as intrigued with the silence agents like people are. Most people are into the agents to silence everybody. To me, that doesn't intrigue me. The original Men in Black thing intrigues me. So I think.
Are you familiar with this book?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Secret Rituals of the Men in Black?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, The Secret Cipher of the UFO Knots.
Yeah, I talked about that on mine. I know a lot of people just really get off on those books, and I'll be honest with you,
They're bullshit.
Yeah, thank you. They don't captivate me and impress me the way they do some other folks, but that's beside the point. But to answer to bring it back to the answer is the real Men in Black. I think there's something very mystical associated with what they are, who they are, and their existence. Now, my mentor told me 20 some years ago. He said that in one particular instance that they were prophets. He said prophets, and he didn't explain any further. So do with what you will with that. But I definitely think there's some type of mystical ultra-terrestrial thing that explains these Men in Black and what they're about. The actual ones, not the ones that are popularized, to just silence people.
What can you tell us about the Sirius Mystery, SIRIUS, and Valis, a vast, active, living intelligence system, Philip K. Dick's Gnostic vision of God?
I haven't done a deep dive on Valis. I'm acquainted, as you know, with Tessa Dick.
Yes, as am I.
So I learned so much from her, and I do need to do a deep dive on Valis, because I do have some questions to ask her and stuff. So on that, I can't speak too intelligently on. But okay, there was Valis, and what was the first thing?
What can you tell us about the Sirius Mystery?
Yeah, well, I will tell you this. No pun intended. That's one I take seriously because I think there is some serious nugget of truth to that. And yes, I confess that one of the things that my mentor told me about has to do with Sirius, the dog star. He told me that there is a planet there with, humans, and they're more advanced than we are in certain ways, and that actually they have been involved with, the way he put it was keeping our planet alive, specifically keeping our sun alive, that they're doing something to energize the sun because our sun was going to die out long ago or something like that. Now, remember, I wonder sometimes if some of the stuff he told me was to test my gullibility. Right. I'm just telling you, but
and your honesty if he hears it from somebody else.
Yeah, but in the study I've done of lore and mythology and history and stuff, I do think there's something to somebody on Sirius visiting this. I think there's something to do with a connection to that. So, nugget of truth. That's my quick answer.
Absolutely. Walter, are there any good cases for UFOs being extraterrestrial spacecraft? And if so, what do you think are the best ones? Well, I realize I'm going against the grain here.
Yeah. Well, when I've been asked this before, I say, hey, you know what? Here's the funny thing. Where I'm at right now, I can't think of one. So what does that tell you?
It's all bullshit.
Well, no, I do think extraterrestrials have come here, and I think they likely still do. But the cases that were given and the cases people conclude are ET, when I've been looking at them, I find that could be anything else but ET or something else. So honestly, not one, when asked that on the short, run, short response for that, I can't think of one that jumps out at me.
Do you think that UFO abductions are made by the government?
Oh, like the MILABs and stuff?
Yeah, MILABs.
Yeah, MILABs, MILABs. I do think that has gone on, yes. In fact, I think that's more likely than alien abductions.
Do you think it's possible that aliens abducted people and the government went in and did some hypnosis to try and find out what they told them or asked them?
It's possible.
But you don't believe it?
When I say, well, no, it's possible, so I'm not saying I don't believe it. if you're asking me if there's a specific instance that I can think of or point to or aware of, no. But I definitely think that's in the realm. That makes sense to me, you know, if that someone would try that, particularly since we look, going back to MkUltra, that box was open, right? That can of worms was open. We've put that genie out of the bottle. So who knows? And look, whose job is it really to watch the skies in America the most? The Air Force. And who loved MkUltra the most? The Air Force. So
yeah,
I could see somebody having done that. I'll put it that way.
Fair enough. What is the 1903 group, and how does it differ from an alleged Nazi space program?
Oh, okay. The 1903 group is my term for what I hypothesized was an American airship development group doing this secretly. And this was would have been, in my opinion, in opposition to the German NMSA that we learn about from Delschau, Charles Delschau.
And what does NMSA stand for?
Oh, that's there's no quick answer to that.
It's in German.
Delschau didn't tell us any details on that, and in a couple of my books, I talk about my very hypothetical answer to what it might have been, and in my opinion, it was probably an acronym that had to do with the German organization. It would have been an acronym in German language.
But it's not. It's hardly a secret. I mean, NMSA pops up in other works, right?
Well, it only really popped up after the 1850s, which Delschau references in the 1890s. It is mentioned in the what the heck is her name? Clara Bloomfield Moore. Oh shoot, I can't think of the guy's name. He's done an excellent book on John W. Keeley. But really, what we know about NMSA, the source is Charles Delschau, and others have, like myself, have seen possibly, the NMSA imprint and the NMSA presence connected to things other than the Sonora Aero Club. Right. But in my opinion, the German, did you say airship or saucer program?
Let me go back and see. Space program. Nazi space program.
Nazi space program. First of all, the popular notion of the Nazi saucer program is it's likely bullshit that they created saucers. All that stuff can be traced to just a couple of guys post-war neo-Nazi sympathizers.
There was actually a saucer project in Canada about the Avro car.
Sure, that's the Canadians and the Allies.
But it didn't really work.
Yeah, and but what's likely the nugget of truth in the whole Nazi saucer thing, because you guys know that I think Hanabu was bullshit. The nugget of truth in the Nazi saucer myth is likely the bell, which is much more likely to have been a real thing.
And this is in the territory of Joseph Farrell, of course.
Yeah, Joseph Farrell. Igor Witkowski is the first writer to write about this publicly, and then Nick Cook mentions it, talks about it in his Zero Hunt for Zero Point book, and then Joseph Farrell, I think, has done the most extensive research and writing on the bell since then. But
I'm actually hoping that we can persuade Joseph to come on into the Fringe maybe sometime this month or next month.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. But to finish that, I think the NMSA of Charles Delschau, I think they definitely were involved. They had their hand in the rise of Nazi Germany from their technological division and their pursuits, and I think some NMSA people very likely had a hand in development of the bell. So the NMSA would definitely have been involved would have been absorbed into the Nazi machine, in my opinion. The 1903, I call it that because I just, it's a label connected to the alleged story how in 1903 a group of Americans went to Tesla and commissioned him to design a Tesla airship that they could fly to Mars. Completely rumor, completely hearsay. But when you look at the 1890s airship mystery, which I think is legit, okay, that's an American thing, not a German thing. So I saw, well, wait a minute, it's not a big jump in time between the 1890s and 1903 with this Tesla story. So that's my personal label that I give them in my book Origin. This American group, I don't know if they existed exactly. I think they did. And that gets into, Colonel Samuel Tillman and the Cosmos Club and all that stuff. But yeah, the 1903 is a label I put on this hypothetical group of Americans.
Very good. What do you think of the hypothesis of a lost race? Antediluvian, perhaps.
Yeah, I have no problem with the possibility of, because you're talking lost race, lost civilization, they're really interchangeable in a way.
Sure.
I mean, I know there was a whole specific lost race genre in the pulp era of fiction, adventure fiction, as we know, that was immensely popular during the late 19th and the whole first half of the 20th century. There's some great movies, books, and then movies that came out of that, like She by H. Rider Haggard, which became
I love
two
She.
versions of that movie were made. And
the one in black and white and the colorized one.
Yeah. And well, then there was the actual color one in the 60s with Ursula Andress and Peter Cushing. But that's just one example. You could say that The Man Who Would Be King could be considered a no, not really. It's more of a lost civilization, because that has to do with Alexander the Great, and all that stuff. But you get the idea. Yeah. But I think there's a nugget of truth to that, because there are certainly civilizations and peoples that have come and gone on this world.
What do you think is in Antarctica? There seems to have been a lot of scuttlebutt about it lately.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think that there's some ruins of whatever civilization long ago that existed there before the freeze over. I definitely think that, and I'm pretty confident that one of the things they're probably finding down there that they're keeping close to vest are relics and ruins, and for whatever reason. Now, it gets really weird and interesting and fascinating when you have stories of, Buzz Aldrin comes back and makes a comment that there's something of great evil down there. What the hell does that mean? I mean, is he talking some scientific bio-natural threat? Is he talking, some dangerous, I mean, who knows? I mean, the mind could go wild on that. But I think at the very least, nugget of truth, there's, some lost civilization relics being found down there, and that might involve some lost advanced technology, not just old Grecian buildings, with pillars,
right?
So
temples of whatever.
Yeah. But people have to be careful with the recent popular stories about Antarctica, because there's a lot of bullshit, in there. So.
Antiderivative Jill is informing me that there's only 5 minutes left to enter the giveaway for Walter's book, and I'm going to make it big. Secret Missions 5 Veiled Destinies. This will be an autographed book that goes to the winner. You must be in the chat to be eligible to win, and you can go right here to this URL for the next 4 minutes and sign up to get on the wheel, so you'll be eligible to win the book. Let's see. think Warachi is talking about some encounters that he had, or they had. I had 2 strange encounters in my life. One, my mother told me at age 22 that when I was 4, I came to her room at night saying there was a little man outside the window who wanted me to go with him. She said no, an apparatus. I told the man I wasn't allowed. Now she doesn't remember this, and she remembers everything. My other encounter happened several months ago. I was awakened late at night, feeling as if my head was buzzing and smelling diesel exhaust. When I went to investigate, I encountered an entity. It had glowing red eyes and was hunched with long arms. I retreated to my room and pulled out my sword. After several minutes, the sensations faded, and after a search turned up nothing, I went to bed. What do you think of these kinds of stories?
The first thing that comes to mind, I think of the lore of the other ones and the stories of the other ones that have coexisted.
Fae folk?
What?
The Fae folk?
Yeah, stuff like that. Or the what came to mind when he's talking about the little man who wanted him to come with him. I think of, the Rumpelstiltskin story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even more disturbing, the Earl King, whose pale daughters beckon children to the land of the dead. But basically, the Fae folk who take children, because they want a human child, of their own in their world. As far as the other thing, the smell of diesel, the weird entity, who knows? I mean, it sounds like this was a waking experience. So
yeah,
you on the one hand, you could say maybe it was a dream, the very vivid dream, but then again, if it was a waking experience, maybe it wasn't. And I don't know.
I've had several experiences that might be called bedroom visitations.
Mm-hmm.
One I think I've probably mentioned on the show before. I don't know if I've told you about it, but I had been reading a lot of abduction books. I'm a voracious reader, you know that.
Yep.
And I was a little antsy, so I had a hard time getting to sleep because my head was going,
Yeah.
And then from inside my wall, like 6 inches inside my wall, I heard a trash truck backing up. Beep, beep, beep. And because I was very familiar with the abduction lore, I knew what that meant. And then I instantly became terrified. I turned over and went right to sleep.
That's it's interesting that you got to ask yourself, did you go right to sleep or did something render you asleep?
Exactly.
That's the thing. Something came to mind that I just want to say to answer. I think it was Warachi or Wartize, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The smell of diesel. What comes to my mind is often in the presence of demons, the smell of sulfur, brimstone, that classic, just unpleasant smells. And if I recall, diesel's not the most pleasant fragrance, right? So if maybe it wasn't so much diesel that was being smelled as some other type of substance that usually comes with some not so great entity moving between the dimensions, moving through the veil or whatever. But I would take that as being very cautious, because bad odors or uncomfortable odors and stuff often it connected with entities or weird beings often means it's not coming from a good place. So, and yeah, I would consider that there's something more ultra or crypto or, possibly demonic going on?
I was going to say I might recommend Joshua Cushin's book, The Brimstone Deceit.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's all about odors and things. It's an in-depth examination of supernatural scents, otherworldly odors, and monstrous miasmas. And we've had actually Joshua Cutchin on the show twice, and I would like to get him on again, but he's very difficult to get a hold of at this point. But talk about a guy that writes a lot of books. He's going to eclipse even you, Walter.
Well, I like where he goes with his suggestions, hypotheses, and research, and I know it bugs the hell out of the ET hypothesis devotees, because everything UFO has to be ET, and actually, in my opinion, from years and years and years of looking at this, my opinion is it's inverted. Is my opinion very, very, very little of UFO reports and experiences could be explained by ET. So it's these other things going on.
So Anti-Derivative Jill says, coffee then beers. Are you here in the chat? Someone by that name entered the giveaway, and I wanted to be sure that person is here. I don't think I have seen coffee then beers. So if you're in the chat, please say something so we know that you're here. Who is going by coffee then beers? Because we have to spin the wheel pretty soon, and she's got to load all the names up. So we want to go ahead and find out who is going by coffee then beers. And I have to admit, in my daily routine, I start out in the morning with coffee. I'm a coffee nut, and if I have beers later in that day, it would be sort of a cocktail hour before dinner type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was friends with William S. Burroughs.
Oh, okay.
I cooked him Christmas dinner one year to spell his chef. And he had his cocktail hour at like between 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he would, smoke the marijuana. And then we would drink vodka and Cokes, which was his preferred drink, which is awful. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't... Rum
Here's
and Coke
coffee, then
tastes
beers.
wonderful. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, rum and Coke tastes wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
for obvious reasons, that one's popular.
Vodka and Coke, not so good.
Yeah.
Canadian Spider-Man says, I drink them simultaneously on the weekends. All right. So now that we've reached this phase of the show, I am going to say hail to Zax. Good to see you. And then we are going to go ahead and bring on Anti-Derivative Jill. Hello, Jill.
Evening.
How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm here with Walter Bosley, so I'm doing fantastic.
Wonderful.
What do you think of the show so far? Pretty choice, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's great.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring on the wheel. Do you have everybody on the wheel?
Yes. Everybody
All right.
who wants to be on the wheel is on it.
So once again, the giveaway is for Walter's book, Secret Missions 5, Veiled Destinies. And Jill, please spin the wheel at your discretion in your own time.
Okay.
The anticipation is killing me.
What?
That's crazy.
How did that happen? We had so many names on this list.
Cam's Crash Courses. Congratulations,
Congratulations.
man. Pata says the Wheel of Winds. That is awesome.
Congratulations.
So, of course, again, Cam needs to send me an email with his mailing information. That's actually not the correct. At gil@sunflower.com. Please send me your deets, your mailing address, and I will pass that on to Walter, who will autograph Veiled Destinies, Secret Missions 5, and send it on its way to you. And Walter, I understand that you had something that you wanted to say to the previous winner of, I think it was Shimmering Light.
Yes,
Right?
Shimmering Light. What happened was I ordered the wrong book, so I've reordered Shimmering Light, and as soon as I get that, I'll be able to sign it, and we'll get it out to you. The last winner of one of my books, the Shimmering Light. So I apologize for that little mishap, but it will be on the way soon.
Awesome. Lots of congrats. And Walter, that is very generous. Thank you very much.
Oh, hey.
And Cam's Crash Courses says thanks again.
Sure. Just let me know how you like the book.
Herc130 says, oh, not me. I got my copy. So I guess we're selling books. We're selling books and getting subscriptions. So, Jill, I would like to thank you for helping us with the wheel. Is there anything you would like to plug before you disappear from our channel?
You're welcome. Thank you very much. I'll be on the Nerdporial Lifeforms stream at midnight tonight after the Orville. I'm going to be
at midnight?
Yeah, 12:15, I think.
I guess I'm going to have some competition for midnight to midnight.
Oh, are you doing that tonight?
No, I'm just kind of joking.
No, it's just the after show for the Orville. And so I'll be doing that. And then I'll have my Friday tea time show during lunch. And
that drops on Fridays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at midnight it'll be Friday, and that's when they release it?
No. Tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at 11 p.m. Central.
Cool.
The Orville comes out, and then at 12:15 I'll be on Nerdporial stream talking about the show.
Walter, are you into the Orville?
Not yet. I'm going to have to. What'll happen is I'll eventually do a binge watch.
Mm-hmm.
I just started binge watching Supernatural. I'd never watched it, and I'm in season 1. That tells you how bad I can get with. You know, when the last season of Game of Thrones was coming out, I binge watched all the entire show, the previous seasons, in the 2.5 months before the final season came out. So I tend to binge watch.
Cool. And then on Tuesday I have my own Orville review, which will be much more in depth and have a lot more analysis to it. So thank you very much, Cardinalson. I'll see you next time. Bye,
okay.
Walter.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Jill.
Welcome.
All right. Well, we have hit the magical 2-hour mark, which means once again we have gotten through another episode of Into the Fringe.
Yay.
And I would like to thank my guest, Walter Bosley, profusely for being on the show, especially after yesterday's cataract surgery. That's at once great news, and also thanks for taking a chance and being here and answering all these bizarre and strange questions
I love
so soon after the surgery.
Oh well, hey, no problem. I enjoy it, and I'm feeling fine. So excited about being able to see clear in one eye, and then once I get the other eye taken care of, I'll be back up to speed.
And even though we're slightly after 2 hours, I would like to ask you, to the degree that you can tell us, because I realize while you're working on something, you don't want to give everything away, you don't want to jinx it, but how is Kaleidoscope Grimoire coming, and what phase are you in?
I am in the phase where I have one more scene with the live actors on a set to do. And once I'm done with that, then I finished a chunk of the movie that I needed to get done before I proceeded with the miniatures and the stop motion animation. And things will pick up speed once I'm doing that, because that's just me. I can work on the film every day. Then when you're working with actors, right, you got to work with their schedules, and I've had to build the full size sets before the actor size sets before I could shoot with them anyway, and then wait to be able to shoot. So I'm excited about finishing this first slower part of the process. And now there's would
this be what you'd call post-production?
Oh, no. I was just going to say.
You're still in the principal photography phase?
Yeah. I still have, actually, as far as the length of the movie, I have the majority of the rest of the film left to shoot. Most of it left to shoot. But because it's stop motion animation and miniatures, it's just me doing it.
So the actors are out of here.
After I finish this last scene, all I have left with an actor is the lead in exteriors, which I'll do very last.
And maybe some pickup shots.
Yeah. And once I can jump into the miniature work and the stop motion, I can actually work on the film literally every day. So I'm really anxious to get to that point, because I'm excited about this film. I'm gonna
mention something that my brother Ari told me. You're eager. You're not anxious, because anxious implies fear.
Well, wait a minute. I am anxious because whenever you're doing a film, you're always scared to death that it's a piece of crap and that you're no good, and why are you doing this? And you're scared to death for people to see it, or before you do your first kind of even rough cut of scenes. Yeah, there's anxiety. So it's both eager and anxious.
Gotcha. Where can people find your stuff online? For instance, where can they grab these awesome pieces of merch, like the Kaleidoscope Grimoire t-shirt, the coffee cup, etc.?
Oh, yeah. I have the links at the Walter Bosley channel in the community tabs.
Okay.
And I try to repost them about every other week. And what I'll do is when I go from here, I'll lift the link up to the current community tab post. So if you go to the Walter Bosley channel, go to the community tab, you'll see the links there for this t-shirt and for the Kaleidoscope Grimoire stuff. And the books are available print on demand only at lulu.com. I don't sell my printed books at Amazon for a variety of reasons. Yeah, so lulu.com for the books. And the links for the t-shirts and mugs and stuff will be in the community tab at Walter Bosley channel.
And I see, while I'm on the Walter Bosley channel, something interesting that I might want to share, since we're here and talking about that kind of stuff.
I think the link for the Kaleidoscope Grimoire stuff is Spring Tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the other one. So, oh, there we go. Yeah.
This looks awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sending it to me. I enjoyed the heck out of building that model.
Yeah, you did a great job. I love the sort of airbrushing effect on the bottom of the robe.
Oh, that's just a shadow of light. That's not even airbrushing. Yeah, that's just the way the. I think what it was is I set the model there in front of the helmet and the ship. The helmet, by the way, is a costume piece from Kaleidoscope Grimoire. But and then I used my tactical flashlight for the lighting, so it's kind of a spotlight on the. And there's the creature. Now that one is the one that I picked up from the Comic Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I wasn't pleased with the paint job I did, but then after a couple of weeks, I'm like, wait a minute, I like that. It looks pretty cool.
It does look pretty cool.
Huh.
Here we have another
again. Yeah.
look at the Grim Reaper. And if you don't mind, tell us about the thing coming up in October, so that if anybody wants to, we can join in the fun.
The Empire of the Wheel tour you're referencing.
Yes.
Yeah, I will, again, and I'll post these dates, but in the first week of October, I'll be giving the Empire of the Wheel tour, which is here in Riverside and San Bernardino and Redlands, California. And it takes one day. I tell people to give me a dedicated day. And you see the sites directly related.
Are we going to go see Cora Stanton's grave?
Yeah, that with the Empire of the Wheel mystery, Cora Stanton's grave, the quarry that I talk about, also the Zodiac killer murder site, Sherry Joe Bates,
where I lived in Vallejo.
That's in Riverside,
which is where his first kill was.
Well, his first kill was actually the couple at Gaviota State Beach, they say, down by Goleta.
That's right.
And then Sherry Joe Bates, he claimed after that. And then his classic attacks up, the 7 attacks he did in the Bay Area. Vallejo is one of those. And I say attacks because not all of those victims died.
Were killed,
In fact, one of them, the one that was at Lake Berryessa with his girlfriend, he was a lawyer here in Redlands. I think he still lives in Redlands here. Tries to keep low key in recent years on this, but yeah. So you get the tour of the sites, and you know, it's a one-day thing, and everybody I've given the tour to, you know, most of them have read the book already, and they really enjoy it. They like it. So it's
and where are we going to be able to sign up for the tour once you get it, you know, put together?
I will likely put the information at Walter Bosley channel or at empireofthewheel.blogspot.com. So look for it there in the next, you know, probably couple of weeks.
Awesome. Well, that'll give us plenty of time to get ready.
Sure.
And I think that'll be a lot of fun, especially if there's a brew pub we can stop in.
Yeah, we can stop at Hangar 24.
Yeah, Hangar 24. That sounds great. Being a chronic pain patient, I can't walk on cement or concrete for very long, or stand on it for very long.
Okay.
Before I have to sit down. But I'm not like an invalid or anything. You know, I can walk for a ways. But hopefully there's not too many sidewalks and there's some grass.
Oh no, the sites, we mostly drive to each site, and you know, obviously at the cemetery there's grass, so it's very I think it's a very comfortable tour. Now if it's not too hot, which it shouldn't be by October, but when it's not really hot, we very often walk from one spot up to the Mission Inn, which is like a couple of city blocks. It's one of those blocked off walking streets that are nice, but that's usually the only real walking part of the tour.
How long is that?
Well, to do the walk and to see the mission in and stuff, there's places to sit. You know, we usually walk up there and we'll stop at a cafe and get coffee. There's a great cupcake place right there at the Mission Inn that they've been on that Cupcake Battles TV show or whatever. There's we often stop at the Coffee Bean. It's a Coffee Bean, not a Starbucks, and take a break right there. So, you know, there's a chance to sit. But other than that, it's mostly drive to this spot, drive to that spot.
In San Francisco, when I was visiting my girlfriend there for a week, there was a place called Higher Grounds.
Okay.
And it was a coffee shop. So the play on words is the grounds of coffee.
Sure, yeah.
And they had the best, I want to say blintzes, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Crepes. They had the best crepes I'd ever had.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Really good. But that's probably not in the area of the Empire of the Wheel tour. So I think at this point, if you will hang on after the show,
sure.
Walter, I would appreciate it.
Yep.
And I do want to thank you again for coming on. And I thought it was an interesting show. I thought I have a lot of fun. And hopefully everybody watching did too. Please, everybody, do remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and once I can figure out what it is YouTube wants me to do as far as jumping through hoops, I will do that. And until then, it's Cardinal Sin out.